How's it going, people? Salmon Slabber here, and yeah, covering a bit of bossing throughout the beta. And as some of you may know, I really do suck giant ass at bossing, so yeah, don't expect too much from the video. But anyway, on to the first topic is actually some of the stuff about beta. As you can see, you can go the little skill chain bar, or whatever you want to call it, just above the chat box, and right by there you can push the little button on the right hand side of it and you'll actually find you have 5 separate bars. So what this means is you can have one bar specifically tailored to your two-handed melee weapon skills, or dual wielding, or sword and shield, whichever way you want to do it. Then the next one you can have range, then mage, and little things like that. But there's a few additional things when it comes to skilling and dungeoneering kind of thing, where you can actually place, for example, dungeoneering your gatestone teleport straight onto the quick bar, so you can quickly get around, and all you've got to do is just simply press a number instead of having to go through your magic menu and things like that. And yeah, it just basically makes your life a lot easier. But it's not only tailored just to dungeoneering. So I was trying out for a little bit, and you can actually put some other magic skills and, well, items onto your actual item bar, and it then makes things such as high alching, plank make, mining ores, gold ore down in living rock caverns, for example, and then superheating them to drop. It makes that a lot easier, and it'll save you a lot of messing around. And yeah, it can be applied to quite a lot of things. I don't actually know all of them. I haven't really been on there too much, to be honest. But yeah, you get the general idea. It will make skilling a lot easier. Now, combat-wise, a lot of people, well, a lot of people got a lot of different views. A lot of people despise the update, and others love the update. Personally, I don't mind it. There's quite a few problems with it, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that can be fixed. And it is a massive difference compared to what everyone's used to. And I'm sure PKers, some of them, well, some of you may actually like it, others despise it. As, well, this kind of takes a lot longer in the fight, and you will not be able to just do your little lucky one-hit KOs and call it skill anymore. As pretty much armadillo specking and all that junk no longer exists. You do have the ultimate skills, however, and at the moment range seems to be fairly overpowered, as well as dual wielding chaotic longswords in Torva. That's pretty much Chuck Norris. So yeah, those two things probably need a bit balancing, but you never know. But yeah, PvP wise, I've done a little bit of it. I've done a couple of duels and stuff with a few of my mates in the beta itself. And, well, I'm not a PK by any means, but it does seem fairly balanced. For example, if you're a ranger versus a mage, you are pretty much guaranteed to beat the mage as a ranger. Although, obviously, there's going to be some cases where the mage flukes out and rapes you sideways, but yeah, that's PKing though, wouldn't it? Same deal with melee if you're maging, as you can stun lock them to an extent, and you can rip them apart from afar, which is actually pretty good. And as you can see on screen now, this is one of the ultimate moves for mage. It basically allows you to transform into the same element as the last spell you cast, and it lasts about 20 seconds and your damage output goes stupid. It was pretty cool. Yeah, there's quite a few very cool animations and things that have been added. In fact, to be honest, I haven't really got a problem with any of the new animations at all. They all seem to be fairly fluid, except for maybe standing and walking animations look a bit weird, but that's only a small thing, and that's easily changed. But yeah, overall, I'd say the beta update is actually pretty good. As you can see, going through all these bosses, surprisingly enough, they've actually changed some of the bosses. As Calvite Queen here, it hasn't really changed a lot. I found it a bit harder actually soloing it on this beta than, well, normal RuneScape at the moment. But still wasn't that much of a challenge, although to be fair, I was wearing pretty much full Tova or Pernix, I can't remember which one I was on. But yeah. So whatever it's like in, say, Barrow's gear, I have no idea. I haven't actually tried it. But it's certainly a lot more interesting. Combat, especially against bosses, takes a lot more technique. And you'll be surprised how useful a shield is now. When Jagex mentioned they'll actually want you to have a tank, or a mock tank in the party who will be using a shield and provoking the monster, so it only pays attention to the tank. Yeah, that is actually true. And having a shield makes a massive difference. It gives you a huge life bonus, and a lot of the defensive skills pretty much limit the mob's damage versus you by 50, 30, 10, 20%, and it lasts 5, 10, 20 seconds at a time. And then they got the special skills, which is kind of like the Excalibur spec, which just bumps your HP up stupidly, and then there's another one which increases your defense, and if you happen to die while it's active, you just get raised right there and then. So if you die, you just come straight back to life, which is pretty amazing, gotta admit. Say if you do it God Wars or whatever. But yeah, I've noticed on this Kelphite Queen that once you hit this second form, you can absolutely rip it apart. Range at the moment is massively overpowered. If you dual wield anything with range and use the ultimate attack and load, you will rip whatever you're fighting to pieces. It is massively overpowered. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I honestly haven't done these bosses in absolutely ages. KBD, for example, I don't even remember the last time I went to kill that. Chaos Elemental, I think I killed it when it first came out. That was about it. And the KQ, I haven't touched it at all. I think this is the third time I've ever been down here to kill it. So yeah. That's probably one of the reasons why it was taking so long to kill. But yeah, overall, it seems to be pretty fluid, the beta. There's not a massive amount of bugs that I've found so far. There's a few animations and graphical glitches here and there. But yeah, everything else seems to work fairly well. So some of the skills, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, those of you who haven't actually been on the beta yet, some of them you will have like an additional bleed effect, which is basically a damage over time, and it typically lasts 6 seconds after you've activated the skill. And some of them actually come with certain parameters added onto it. So for example, there's one called Slaughter for melee classes, and once you hit a player or a monster with that, they'll take bleed damage for the next 6 seconds, and it'll be equal to like 75% of your weapon damage. But if you happen to make the person or the monster move, they suddenly take 400% damage or something ridiculous. So for example, if they're standing still, let's say they're taking 284 damage, as soon as you make them walk, they're suddenly taking 850. It is absolutely amazing. You just watch people drop. It's awesome at PKing. The amount of people who will just follow you from auto retaliate and don't even realise what's going on. You get plenty of kills that way. Yeah, here's me and a buddy up in DK's just testing them out. We did come up here just before, but we only come up here with, I think it was range. Just to try and test out whether or not this combat triangle has been slightly fixed with monsters. And I can tell you now, yes, it has, quite a lot. And DKs now require a bit of tactic rather than just run around with a Balmung raping everything sideways. So yeah, no more psychopathing, just plop a cannon down with your Balmung and rape everything sideways. You actually do require different forms of attack now, as they are pretty resistant to everything else. But yeah, so overall, I'll give the beta a thumbs up at the moment. There's plenty of things wrong with it that still need fixing. There's some of the skills are just immensely overpowered. Mage, at the moment, I'd probably say is still slightly underpowered. Although when it comes to PvP, it's about even. It's still slightly under compared to melee and range. But if you just tweak the skills slightly, it wouldn't actually be that bad. Another additional thing, for example, I think it was Fire Surge. To actually cast Fire Surge in the beta, at the moment you're meant to use bloods, deaths, A's and fires. But in the beta itself, all you need is 5 A's and 5 fires. And I haven't checked, but I didn't see a use for bloods and deaths at any point. I don't know whether or not that's just lower level spells, or they're going to be adding new ones. But I didn't notice a use for them at the moment. Don't take me for word on that, I haven't actually looked properly. But yeah, Fire Surge, you no longer use bloods and deaths. Another additional thing, mages can now use one-handed and two-handed weapons. So some of the main two-handed weapons that you'd typically be using as a high-level mage would be the Staff of Armadyl, or the Battle Staff even. That is a two-handed weapon, so you won't be able to use an arcane or whatever else you plan on using in your offhand if you're going to be using the Storm of Armadyl with the Battle Staff. Same goes for the Staff of Light, that's also two-handed. But you also have wands of the equivalent that you can actually use, which give roughly about the same magic attack. But you would also need the offhand to give you that extra bit to equal it. So it's a matter of preference. I do highly recommend a shield, they are actually incredibly handy. And two-handed weapons and dual wielding, well, I've got to be honest, dual wielding is absolutely awesome. If you dual wield on range, as you see just there, just gone now, my buddy actually used the ultimate attack unload, and that thing just, oh my god, overpowered much. Fucking hell. Yeah, mage, as you can see, is only particularly this one, and I think it's called Omni Power, the other one, which are the only decent ultimates. As this one lasts about 20 seconds, you can get out some decent damage, and the other one just obliterates 20% of HP off whatever you're fighting. Now these things are a bit weird. Now normally Protect from Range and Protect from Mage is all you particularly need down here, so you could put it into your hotbar. But for whatever reason I was noticing while I had Protect from Range on, I was just getting hit by its range attacks. Same goes with melee, and same goes with range as well. All of them. Doesn't matter what protection power I had on, I'd still be taking some decent damage. So, as you can see on screen, I decided to go to Soul Split. And for whatever reason, Soul Split works a hell of a lot better than Protection Praise. Additionally, as I noticed killing these Gliggers, your prayer drops a lot quicker in the beta, which you don't really notice. It really does drop without you even realizing, especially if you're using the new prayers, the mage equivalent of Turmoil and the range equivalent of Turmoil. They knock your prayer down very quickly. What else we got? Other boss. Oh, I haven't got the footage for it, but I did go up to Corp. And he's got a nice new interesting attack where every single hit will knock down your prayer points. So yeah, I don't know how quickly someone will be able to just straight up solo that. I'm sure someone's probably got a video on YouTube already, but yeah, that's going to be a lot more difficult now. And the Dark Core has been beefed up a little bit by the looks of it, as he kind of rips you a new one if you ain't careful. The only other problem that I've noticed so far with the beta is the use of brews. They only heal, I think it's 500 HP per dose, which granted a full 6 dose of brew is still better than a Rocktail, but a Rocktail on its dug straight up will give you 1840 HP, give or take. So you really do need a mixture of those two to even stand a chance of staying alive at the moment, because brewing up just takes too long. Well, yeah, other than that, this is my little boss run, my little first attempts throughout the beta. Hope you all enjoyed, and yeah, maybe a review coming up, we'll see. Leave a comment, tell us what you're after. Catch you then.